Vande Matram. Good morning. Welcome all of you. So the topic of this discussion for this Savitri summarization is on her heart, a crowded temple of delight. So beautiful topic. We are going to take it from the canto that is on book 4, canto 2, the growth of the flame. So that is the topic of discussion right now. We will go for the Savitri summarization. This session we are going to focus upon her heart was a crowded temple of delight. So beautiful topic, and of course we will see how the flame is growing. The marvelous topic we are going to discuss right now, that is on how the flame is growing. Flame is here, that is the on Savitri. After recently we have discussed on birth and childhood of the flame. Now we are going for the next topic, growth. Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully a land of mountain and wide sun-beat plains, a land of mountains and wide sun-beat plains, and giant rivers passing the to vast seas, a field of creation and spiritual hush, silence, swallowing life's acts into the deeps. So this is the description of the land really where Savitri is growing, Madran. So again we can go for the to and read little in depth reading. We'll see a brooding world of reverie and trance. A brooding world of reverie and trance filled with the mightiest works of God and man, where nature seemed a dream of the divine. How nicely it has been quoted. Nature seemed a dream of the divine, and the beauty and grace and grandeur are their home. Harbored the childhood of the incarnate flame. Very initial lines Sri Aurobindo has quoted, incarnate flame. Again I will go a little bit deep and so find the things. Earth's brooding wisdom spoke to her still breast. Earth's brooding wisdom, many times we find what is the real qualification of the mother. So message of how she has been developed so far, this knowledge, experience, wisdom is concerned. Earth's brooding wisdom spoke to her still breast. Then mounting from mind's last peaks to mate with gods. That is whatever the education we are having, that is touching the mind. But it is from last peaks of mind's last peaks to mate with the gods, making earth's brilliant thoughts a springing board to dive into the cosmic vastnesses. That is her education, that is her wisdom. Again, the knowledge of the thinker and the seer saw the unseen and thought the unthinkable, opened the enormous doors of the unknown. Then we can go for the next page of discussion right now, how Sri Aurobindo is touching. A mystic acolyte trained in nature's school, aware of the marvel of created things. Then we can go for the next page. Intense philosophies pointed earth to heaven. Different types of faculties we see, subject matters we can find. Intense philosophies pointed earth to the heaven, or on foundations broad as the cosmic space. Then second or latter after philosophy, Sri Aurobindo comes to the sculpture and the painting concentrated sense. Sculpture and the painting concentrated sense upon an inner vision's motionless birds. So philosophy, then sculpture and painting revealed a figure of the invisible. Then we can go for the next story in the course, whatever was being mastered by the divine child, divine mother. Then now divine child, but yearly she is the divine mother in a infant form. The architecture of the infinity discovered here its inward musing shapes. Architecture of the infinity discovered here its inward musing shapes, captured into wide beds of soaring stone. Then after architecture comes music. Music brought down celestial yearnings, sung, held the merged heart absorbed in rapturous depths, linking the human with the cosmic cry. So music linking the human with the cosmic cry. So then comes dance. The world interpreting movements of the dance, mooded idea and mood to a rhythmic sway. The world interpreting movements of the dance, mooded idea and mood to a rhythmic sway. And the posture, crafts, minute in subtle lines. Posture and crafts, minute in subtle lines, eternized a swift moment's memory. Then poems in largeness, you can see poems in largeness cast like moving worlds and meters surging with the ocean's voice. Poems in largeness cast like moving worlds and meters surging with the ocean's voice. Translated by grandeurs locked in nature's heart. Again, we can find man's eyes could look into the inner realms. His scrutiny discovered numbers law. So here coming to the mathematics. So his scrutiny discovered numbers laws and organized the motion of the stars science. So his scrutiny discovered numbers law and organized the motions of the stars, mapped out the visible fashioning of the world, it is geography, questioned the process of his thoughts and made a theorized diagram of mind and life, theorized diagram of mind and life. So again we can go, but this is not enough here in the course. The human mind seeking limited by its gains. Human seeking limited by its gains because it is written. We are going and covering, we are reading them line by line or word by word, but thing is that that is still incomplete. Sri Aurobindo quote, but not the widest seeing of the soul. There was a growing out to the numberless sides, but not the widest seeing of the soul, not at the vast, direct, immediate touch, nor at art and wisdom of the gods. So this is the whatever we are studying, that is bounded. But actually, whatever mother is coming and feeling, boundless knowledge greater than man's thought, a happiness too high and for heart and sense. Anyway, this is the great reading, and after that we can see Sri Aurobindo. Let us summarize it first, then we will go for the next phase. What about the circle or some the periphery, the people who were staying around him, how they responded, and what is the scenario we will see. Here in the course we nicely will try to go for the summarization. Of course, this is the process of Savitri summarization. This is the session of Savitri summarization. Growth of the flame, that is actually book 4 canto 2. So great influences and ancient godheads watch over the child. Great influences and ancient godheads watch over the child Savitri as she grows in a land of beauty, grace, and grandeur. That land, that is actually the land of beauty, grace, and grandeur. Again, art's wisdom communes with the still heart, her still heart. Her heart was still, and art's wisdom is communicating. Her mind actually still her. Then her mind lives beyond the thought and opens horizons of the unknown and infinity form, because whatever we have seen, those it is actually crossing the border. It is going, touching the beyond. It is expanding and of course touching the infinity. Her environment is rich in the fields of the philosophy, sculpture, architecture, music, dance, poetry, etc. So we can see craft and science. Just now we see philosophy, sculpture, architecture, music, painting, dance, poetry, craft, science, etc. Then what happens? She assimilates their essence but feels that inadequacy. Just now we can see it is there, it is useful, but actually inadequate. He feels they are inadequate and seeks to realize the larger and higher glories waiting to manifest. That's what is the real thing. Many times we feel what is the qualification of the mother. That's what everything is written, everything is formulated. Whatever we try to read, actually this is not the great thing we are doing, because it is already read by our forefathers till now. Maybe 100 years, 200 years, or 500 years, something like. We keep rotting them word for word. But the thing is that she is trying to go for the larger and higher glories that are waiting to manifest. She extends herself to embrace all around and lift them Godward. So this is the glazed scenario, but a few responded to her call. That's what Sri Aurobindo is writing. Few responded to her call, and still fewer feel her divinity. They can't keep pace with her and fall back to their little human measures. They can't keep pace and fall back into the little human pleasure. They are not able. They don't know who she is, what is her greatness, magnanimity. So just they are getting touched and then failing. She is their leader, close to their hearts, yet far from the nature. Everything it is, that is a lacuna. They are leader. They are actually, she is leading, and these people are following. Close to their hearts, yet far from their nature. They adore her, cling to her, but actually can't rise to her heights. That is the problem. Can't rise to her height, even if they are adoring and clinging to her. They worshipped marvelingly, but can't claim. Some seek to draw upon her for their petty satisfactions with the desire of the beastly desires, and rebel against the yoke of the love which they don't want to lose either. So this type of people, actually they are gathered around her throughout. So we'll read little bit and know how Sri Aurobindo is actually describing the things in here in his own writings. Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully. That is a nice description. Of course, we find in most of the times we find. Sri Aurobindo tries to but only a few responded to her call. Only a few responded to her call, then she on the court, still fewer felt her screened divinity, and strove to mate its godhead with their own. So they could not come. Could not keep the vision and the power, and fell back to life's dull, ordinary home tone. So they are not able to explore more and know, feel, and to equate themselves with the greatness of the of Savitri, and failing ultimately. A mind daring heavenly experiment, growing towards some largeness they felt near. Then we can go for the so what happens for even the close partners of her thoughts, who could have walked the nearest to her ray, worshipped the power and the light they felt in her, but could not match the measure of her soul. Worshipped marveling, but could not match, so they are actually keeping, even if they were near to her. She walked in their front towards a greater life, like leader. Their leaders and the queen over their hearts and souls, one close to her bosoms, yet divine and fire. Close to her bosom, but truly speaking, they are actually divine and fire. So again we can go. The rest they could not see in visible light. Vaguely they bore her inner mightiness. Vaguely they bore her inner mightiness, are bound by senses and a longing heart, adoring with a turbid human love, which will never be fulfilled. They know still then they are approaching. They could not grasp the mighty spirit she was. They could not grasp the mighty spirit she was. Then again, some felt with her with their souls and thrilled with her. Some people, they going into the depth of their soul, they could be able to feel her, thrilled with her. A greatness felt near, yet beyond mind's grasp. To see her was a summons to adore. Summons to adore, only to adore, not to claim. That was the problem with them. Against here in the course. To be near her drew a high communion's force. So men worship a God too great to know, too high, too vast to wear a limiting shape. Really, Mother was too great, too high. Already we have seen while reading the vision and the boon describing the world. Mother, Divine Mother, book of the Divine Mother, we have seen too high, too vast to wear a limiting shape. They feel a presence and obey a might, adore a love, feel a presence, obey a might, adore a love whose rapture invades their breasts. Then we can see her divine parts, the soul's allegiance called. It saw, it felt, it knew the deity. Her will was puissant on their nature's acts. So later we can find and see. They felt a larger future meet their work. They felt a larger future met their work. Their lives, their natures moved compelled by hers. Lives and natures moved compelled by hers. She held their hands and she chose for them their paths. That's what can be done. But thing is that to claim her is actually impossible because this is the human limited mind can't claim. Even if they are having some love that is turbid human love, it can't actually match and of course exist against the supramental light, the great light which really she is possessing. So here in the quotes again, possessed by her, her striving to possess, impatient subjects, their tired longing hearts, hugging the bounds close up which they most complain. Again, we can find they asked from her movements bounded like their own. So we can find they longed but cried out at the touch desired enough to meet the divinity so close. Divinity so close, but actually not able to understand, not able to tolerate. They hoped to bind to her to their hearts human needs. Some they hoped to bind to their hearts the human needs, her glory and grace that had enslaved their souls. That's a brilliant line. Her glory and grace that had enslaved her souls. Anyway, we'll try to summarize in couple of lines. Then we'll go for the next topic, next further discussion. Against her in the course, none, however, there who can stand up her equal and mate. No, 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 maybe not even a single person who can claim as her equal and mate. She has to stoop to all and hold their souls, stoop to all, then hold to her soul as the mother. She has to live within and alone because there is no option. Nobody is claiming, nobody is coming closer, nobody can know really the divinity what she possesses. Nobody is trying to change itself and of course ascend to her height. She is living within and alone. She often feels one with the subhuman world of in nature and responds readily to her. That nature is also responded, but thing is that human world is unable to respond. And we'll go for the latter part of discussion. That is a beautiful discussion. We will go for this latter part. Here Sri Aurobindo writes towards the end, it is in a very magnificent way. In vain she stooped to equal them with her heights. In vain. None stand up her equal and her mate just now. None stand up her equal and her mate. In vain she stooped to equal them with her heights. It is totally in vain. Too pure that air for some small souls to breathe. Too pure that air for was for small souls to breathe. These comrade selves to raise to her own wide breaths. Her heart desired and fill with their own power. Then we can see interesting descriptions. Knew by sympathy their needs and wants, and dived in the shallow wave depths of their lives, and met and shared their own heartbeats of grief and joy, and bent to heal their sorrow and their pride. So everything was there, lavishing the might that was hers on her lone peak. So alone, everything was there, but actually their human needs, human wants, they are satisfied with. So finally, his Savitri is trying to make her to lift to their aspirations cry. It is highly impossible. Her greater self lived soul unclaimed within, because nobody is coming. Her greater self lived soul unclaimed within. Oftener in dumb nature's tire and peace, a nearness he could feel serenely one, alone, apart, aloof like this. In man, a dim disturbing sometimes leaves. It knows, but turns away from the divine light. Something knows, some experience we can find, but the thing is that it knows, but turns away from the divine light, preferring the dark ignorance of the pearl. Dark ignorance is preferable, but divinity, say they can't claim, they can't bear. So, nowhere she found her partner of high tasks, the comrade of her soul, her other self, who was made with her like God and nature one. Nobody could be found, no equality, nothing, nobody will be there. So a distance severed her from those most close. Most close feels, but the feeling was it is still distant. So earth nursed, unconscious still, the inhabiting flame, yet something deeply tired and dimly new. There was a movement and a passionate call, a rainbow dream, a hope of golden change. Still there is a hope of golden change. Then we can go little bit later, we can find later. No equal heart came close to join her heart. No equal heart came close to join her heart. No transient earthly love assailed her calm. No hero passion had the strength to seize. No eyes demanded her replying eyes. Just imagine how this greatly described. So her beauty and the flaming strength were seen afar like lightning playing with the fallen day. Lightning playing with the fallen day. Beautiful image has been taken. No, a glory unapproachably divine. So then what is happening? Just now I quoted. No equal heart came close to join her heart. No transient human love assailed her calm. No hero passion had the strength to seize. No eyes demanded her replying eyes. A power within her awed the imperfect place. Satisfied because in outwardly nothing is possible. So, towards the end, we are going for the concluding part of our discussion. The earth nature bound in sense life's narrow makes. Here in the final quotes, the earth nature bound in sense life's narrow make. The hearts of men are amorous in clay kin, and bear not the spirits lone and high who bring fire intimations from the deathless plains, too vast for souls not born to mate with heaven. Too vast for souls not born to mate with heaven. So you can find that loneliness that has been gloriously written still in the quotes. Whoever is too great must lonely live. Against another way, in another part of the discussion, we have seen the great are strongest when they stand alone. A God-given might of being is their only strength. Still in the quotes. Whoever is too great must lonely live. Adored he walks in mighty solitude. Vain is his labor to create his kind. So his only comrade is the strength within. Whoever is too great must lonely live. Adored he walk in mighty solitude, vain is his labor to create his kind, his only comrade is the strength within. Thus was it for a while with Savitri. Thus was it for a while with Savitri. All worshipped marvelingly, none dared to claim. All worshipped marvelingly, none dared to claim. Her mind sat high, pouring its golden beams. Her mind sat high, pouring its golden beams. Her heart was a crowded temple of delight. Heart was wider than the universe. Love in her heart was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. Here, her mind sat high, pouring its golden beams. Her heart was a crowded temple of delight, crowded temple of delight. A single lamp lit in perfection's house, a single lamp lit in the perfection's house, a bright pure image in a priestless shrine. A bright pure image in a priestless shrine, midst those encircling lives her spirit dwelt, apart in herself until her hour of fate. Until that point is coming, until the hour of fate is coming, she has to wait, aloof, apart, and living within. So let us quote finally. Let's try to conclude in the final summarization. Final, we'll try to gist up right now, summarize right now. In a small circle where she was staying, she lives and learns without any link with the wider world. Smaller world, no link with the wider world. Things which has been contented here is actually narrow, unconscious or semi-conscious. But there is a growing sense of expectation. Still, there is a growing sense of expectation in the air. word gets around, and the man begins to discover her, and her name gets abroad. Her name gets abroad. Still, because there is expectation, this narrow world where she is staying, it is not all. Still, heavenly possibilities are there. She has to explore. Still, she is admired and adored from afar. Admired and adored from afar. None stand up her equal. She has to remain alone till the hour of the fate arrives, because there is no other go. This is the only solution, you know. So she has to wait here patiently till her hour of fate. So this will one day it is coming, and with the arrival something will happen. That will be a big mystery and a big story to be written, a big history to be created. For that, actually, really there will be a great waiting, of course, here. So we'll see the glorious lines who has been gloriously written and record, and of course described by Sri Aurobindo. Finally, couple 2 or 3 lines I will try to read again. Sri Aurobindo quotes that those glorious lines in his own letter, and of course one in his own format. So those supramental lines that has been described by the master. Her mind sat high, pouring its golden beams. Her heart was a crowded temple of delight. A single lamp lit in perfection's house, a bright pure image in a priestless shrine. Midst those encircling lives her spirit dwelt, apart in herself until her hour of fate. Apart in herself until her hour of fate. So we have to discuss. We have to wait for some time until that hour of fate is approaching. So this is a great, really great description by the master, because here previously we have seen the growth of the birth and the childhood, and here is the growth of the flame. And later we have to wait for the great discovery, for the at least up to see how what is happening in her hour of fate. Bande Mataram.